Are you tired of gut issues controlling your life? Let's talk through some real answers that actually work. I am Dr. Heather Bear. I'm a PhD in functional nutrition, mind body medicine. I'm also a certified nutrition specialist, a licensed nutritionist, and ultimately, I work to get to the root cause of whatever it is that's causing you trouble. So, we're going to be talking through gut issues. And if we're being real, these things can take over our lives from the bloating, the cramping, and discomfort, the endless cycles of trying different diets and supplements and really expensive lab tests just to feel like you're not getting anywhere. If this sounds familiar, if you felt frustrated trying to figure out the root cause of your gut issues, you're not alone. Roughly two-thirds of Americans are living with digestive issues, and most people don't realize just how much their gut actually impacts their overall health. And so today we're going to cut through all of that confusion and we're going to get to some real answers so that you can take control of your gut health and start feeling better. So I'm guessing that you're here because you're tired of guessing and being a slave to these random diets or spending money on things that just don't work. So that's exactly what I'm going to give you. We're going to break it down so that you have clear science-backed answers. I'm going to go through what's really happening in your gut and why symptoms like bloating, constipation, and food sensitivities even happen. I'm going to go through some of the biggest myths about gut health and why food sensitivity tests and probiotics aren't necessarily a magic fix. We'll also get into how to actually heal your gut with some practical strategies that you can start using today. And so by the end of this, ultimately, you're going to be able to have the tools to be able to start to take control of your health. So if that sounds good, let's get started. All right, so your gut is actually home to trillions of microbes, bacteria, fungi, and viruses. These things all work together to keep you healthy. In fact, you have more bacteria cells than your own human cells. And that means that you have more gut bacteria than even your DNA. They literally outnumber it. And these microbes, they function as an extra organ, which influences digestion, immunity, weight, energy levels, even mental health. But there's a problem. When this balance is off, what we call dysbiosis, all right, that's what we call when we have this imbalance, your gut, it's not able to properly function or do its job. And that leads to inflammation, food sensitivities, brain fog, bloating, and more. And so let's go through 10 key signs that your gut may be struggling. And if any of these resonate with you, hold on to that thought. You're going to get some answers as we move forward. All right, so the 10 common signs that your gut is struggling. And of course, this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just some of the most common and frequent issues that I see in my practice in people with gut imbalances. All right, so the first and obvious digestive issues like bloating, constipation, reflux, diarrhea. These are the gut's way of telling you that something is off. But of course, it's not just about digestion. We then have food sensitivities. If you feel like you're reacting to everything, it may be because your gut lining is inflamed or compromised. Then there's brain fog and fatigue. Your gut and brain are deeply connected. And if your bacteria are imbalanced, it can directly impact your focus and your energy. We also can have skin issues like acne, eczema, and rashes. And so this is what happens when inside of your gut is starting to show up on your skin, right? Another key sign. And so the ultimate idea here is that, your gut is a major player in immunity and inflammation. And so even things like frequent infections, if you're finding that you're getting sick really frequently, 70 to 80% of your immune system is actually housed in your gut. And so if you're always getting sick, your gut health might actually be to blame. We also have issues like weight gain or weight loss. So people can, be at a plateau or unexpectedly gain weight even though they haven't changed anything. Well, your gut microbiome, those bacteria regulate your metabolism. And so an imbalance can actually lead to these weight fluctuations. Also, chronic pain, chronic joint pain, headaches, just general discomfort. These could be gut driven inflammation. Mood, cravings, and chronic conditions can also be gut related. Anxiety, depression, and irritability. Well, our gut produces most of our serotonin, and that's our feel good neurotransmitter. And if it's out of balance, well, chances are our mood might be as well. And of course, sugar cravings and overgrowth of bad bacteria or yeast can literally make you crave sugar because that's what they're feeding on. And then last but not least, autoimmune conditions, things like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, and even IBD have strong links to gut health. And so if any of these are sounding familiar, just remember, you don't have to deal with this forever. Any gut issue can be improved. You just have to know what's driving it. And so now that we know what some of the warning signs are, let's talk about what happens, what's actually happening in the gut when things are starting to go wrong. So the first thing is dysbiosis. And dysbiosis means that your gut bacteria are just out of balance. And this can lead to poor digestion, nutrient deficiencies, and increased inflammation. Ultimately, good bacteria help break down food. They produce essential vitamins, they regulate our immunity, and they protect us from harmful microbes. But when they're outnumbered, you might experience things like bloating, food sensitivities, fatigue, even a weakened immune system. And so this can then lead to leaky gut. So if you imagine that your gut lining is like this security gate, well, it's designed to let nutrients in and keep harmful substances out. But when our gut is inflamed, right, if it gets inflamed and it starts to expand, what's happening is those little gates are starting to open up. And when that happens, it creates these little tiny gaps. And those tiny gaps are what's known as leaky gut. And then when this happens, the gaps allow the toxins to come in, right? So they allow toxins to exit from our gut, right? And then they start to get into the rest of the bloodstream. So toxins, undigested food, bacteria, all of this leaks into our bloodstream, and that triggers inflammation, the food sensitivities, even the autoimmune reactions. And so this is why you might suddenly react to foods that you used to tolerate without any problem. It's not the food, it's your gut lining that's been compromised. Also, SIBO, this is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And then we also have yeast overgrowth with that too. And so your bacteria, they're supposed to stay in your large intestine. And this is where this is where it's able to be most helpful with digestion and nutrient absorption. But SIBO, these bacteria, so when you have SIBO, you have these bacteria that's migrated to the small intestine. So large intestine lower, small intestine higher. And so they're up higher where they don't belong. And so that's why people who have SIBO typically experience pain or bloating in their upper abdomen. And so you can kind of think of it like a compost bin that's been dumped in the wrong place. Ultimately, all of that fermentation and things that are supposed to happen as food breaks down, it happens too soon. And that's causing excessive gas and bloating and reflux. And then, of course, these food reactions. And of course, yeast is very similar, like Candida. This can also take over. And very similar to the bacteria, Candida feed on sugar and carbs. And it's more prone to creating brain fog, fatigue, and these intense cravings for sugar and carbohydrates and things like that. But both of these, both SIBO and yeast overgrowth, can lead to nutrition deficiencies or nutrient deficiencies. And that's because they interfere with absorption. So even if you eat well, your body may not be able to get what it needs, which of course can lead to the nutrient deficiencies. Then we have, last but not least, IBS and IBD. So irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease. Now, IBS and IBD are often confused, but they're very different conditions. IBS is a functional issue, and it affects how your gut works, causing bloating, diarrhea, constipation, and cramping. There's no visible damage. And so it's hard to diagnose. Basically, it's diagnosed by process of elimination, but that doesn't mean that it's not incredibly disruptive. It triggers food stress and sensitivities and imbalances. All of these start to play a role. Now, IBD, this is an inflammatory disease, things like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, where the immune system is actually attacking the lining of the gut. And this causes severe inflammation, bleeding, so actual damage, and a lot of times long-term damage. Both are driven by gut dysfunction, though, and inflammation. But while IBS can often be reversed just by fixing a gut imbalance, IBD, it's going to require a little bit more complex protocol, a lot more deeper healing and long-term support. But ultimately, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, reducing gut inflammation is going to be key. And so the good news is that we can restore that. We can help support inflammation and reduce that. And that's what we're going to get into next. So how do we go about healing our gut? Well, right, that's what we all want to know. We understand what's going on. It's great to have an idea and be able to connect the dots, but how do we fix it? Well, I use a simple science-backed method called the 4R protocol. And this is going to help people rebalance their gut. And it's, again, very simple, 4 steps. The first is to remove what's causing harm, like processed foods, sugar, high stress levels. If you're not moving, then being more movement. So removing the sedentary behavior, but also some of the foods that we'll talk about in just a minute. And then, of course, we have replace. Step number 2, you want to replace the missing digestive enzymes and the stomach acid so that you can actually break down nutrients. And we'll get into that in greater detail in just a minute. Then step 3 is to reinoculate. And of course, this is reinoculating with good bacteria. We're bringing good bacteria into our bodies so that we can have more of the beneficial bacteria so that it's no longer outnumbered. And this is going to come from probiotics, fiber-rich foods, things like that. And then, of course, step 4, we have repair. And that's because we do need to repair, especially if we've been dealing with leaky gut. There can be a lot of inflammation, a lot of inflammatory tissue. And so we want to heal that gut lining with anti-inflammatory nutrients, things like L-glutamine, zinc, and bone broth. And so this method is proven to work, and I'm going to show you how to implement it step by step. So let's get into remove. Again, this is the very first step. We need to remove the irritants. We need to remove the things that are triggering the inflammation and the imbalance. And of course, some of these are obvious, like ultra processed foods and sugar and alcohol, but some are less obvious. And those are going to be things like gluten and dairy. And if we temporarily remove these, that's going to give our gut the ability to heal. Also, soy and nuts, these are common allergens that can be irritating to our guts when they're inflamed. Artificial sweeteners and excessive sugar, this is fuel for bad bacteria and yeast overgrowth. And yes, artificial sweeteners as well. And that includes your monk, anything that's a sugar alcohol. So even things that are labeled as monk fruit or stevia, if you look at the back of the bottle and it has something ending in all, that's going to be a sugar alcohol, and that's going to be used as fuel for the non-beneficial bacteria. Of course, then we also have NSAIDs, and these are going to be things, NSAIDs, these are going to be things that are like Tylenol, Advil, pain relievers, right? Those are things that we would typically take because we have pain and discomfort in our body. And of course, stress. When we combine that with stress, again, these medications, something as simple as an ibuprofen, chronically over time can actually damage the lining of the gut. Stress alone can damage and disrupt digestion. And so when we do these things together, we're slowing down digestion and actually damaging the lining of the gut more so. So being very aware of the things that you're taking, especially when you're dealing with gut health. And so the important caveat to this is that the removal is always temporary. It's not intended to stay on a restrictive removal diet for more than 30 to 60 days. It really depends on the severity and how well you're doing and how well the response is. But ultimately, the goal is to remove the things that are irritating, allow yourself to heal, and then you go back to it. So now that we've removed the gut irritants, the next step is to replace what's missing so that your gut can heal properly. And so we can do this by supporting digestion, specifically stomach acid and that digestive process. And so if you have bloating, acid reflux, or slow digestion, that could mean that you have low stomach acid. And a quick, simple fix for this is something as simple as a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and some water, or even digestive bitters before you have your meal to help your stomach be able to break down the food. You could also use something like digestive enzymes. And of course, these are short-term use. But if your gut is really struggling, your pancreas might not be making enough enzymes to properly break down fats and proteins and carbohydrates. And so a high-quality digestive enzyme can help support your digestion while your gut repairs and can then be able to process that on its own. You can also, again, help support the lining of the gut to reduce inflammation. L-glutamine is a wonderful product for this. This is just an amino acid, and it helps seal that leaky gut. And so that's going to help reduce inflammation and improve nutrient absorption. Zinc carnosine is another really great one. This is a powerful gut healing mineral that supports stomach lining repair, reduces acid irritation, and it helps with gut inflammation. And of course, bone broth and collagen, these are rich in glycine, glutamine, and proline, which are going to be rebuilding. These things help rebuild and strengthen the gut lining. Another really helpful thing, functional food, is aloe vera. So aloe vera, you can find it unsweetened at a lot of health food stores, even your grocery store. You don't need very much, about an ounce, a few times a day. You can take it with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's also in pill form. So if you really dislike the taste, you could go with a pill form. Other pills that can help, or other supplements that can help that are typically in pill form, marshmallow root and DGF. These are things that are going to help soothe irritation, coat the lining of the gut, and again, just promote healing. And so they're really great for people who are dealing with acid reflux or ulcers or just overall gut inflammation. But really, what we want to do is we want to support the good bacteria. And of course, that is done by helping put some of these resistant starches, a prebiotic. These can be coming from things like green bananas or cooked cooled potatoes or overnight oats. These are going to have those starches that are really helpful for the good bacteria or the beneficial bacteria to be able to eat. If they're healthy and they're eating, they're going to be able to multiply on their own. Last but not least, of course, hydration and minerals are going to be really important too. Our body needs water, and we are chronically not drinking enough. Magnesium is another really great one too, but of course, the electrolytes and trace minerals, these are all really important for regular bowel movements, all of the enzymes that support digestion, and of course, gut repair itself. And so if you add a mineral-rich water, some sea salt or magnesium into your diet, whether it's a supplement or magnesium-rich foods, this can go a long way as well. One of my favorite mineral waters is Vichy. So it's just a bubble water, and it's a mineral rich sparkling water. I guess the last thing to mention about this is how you eat matters too. And of course, slowing down, taking the time to chew your food is really essential. Digestion starts in the mouth. And so if you're eating too fast or if you're distracted, your gut actually has to work harder. And so if you've got a gut that's already compromised and you're eating fast and you're eating distracted and you're stressed out working while you're eating your lunch, you're really crippling your digestive system. So first thing would be to try chewing 20 to 30 times per bite. I know that sounds crazy. If you're noticing that you're chewing 5 times, well, maybe 30 is crazy for you. But if you're chewing 5, aim for 15, right? Just start to chew more. You have digestive enzymes in the mouth that are going to start breaking down carbohydrates, that are going to start breaking down fats, and that's going to help aid your digestion if you're already starting to do it in the mouth. And of course, you want to avoid late night meals because that's going to dysregulate the natural rhythm of our digestion. Our digestive process is most effective earliest in the morning, and then it slowly loses its efficiency as it gets closer to bedtime. So really heavy meals late at night when your digestion is already slower and already not as effective is going to be a lot harder on your body than earlier in the morning and in the afternoon. All right, so once we've cleared out the bad and we've replaced what's missing, now it's time to repopulate the gut with the beneficial bacteria to maintain that healthy microbiome. And of course, the first thing that we think about are probiotics, right? Of course, everybody thinks about probiotics, but of course, not all probiotics are created equal. Many of these expensive supplements on the market are low quality and just downright ineffective. One of the most, and I'm not going to give a name, but I had a client that brought me the probiotics that she was taking. They were gummies. She said that she paid $50 for these garbage gummy probiotics. And I looked online and I mean, hundreds of reviews of 5-star reviews saying how amazing these are. I don't care how many good reviews some of these gummy things have. There's absolutely no way that you're getting the beneficial amount of bacteria in that gummy probiotic. So don't waste your money. So many of these are not effective. You want to look for quality, right? You want to look for quality over what's being pushed on social media. You also want to look for strains that have lactobacillus or bifidobacterium. These are the 2 strands that are most researched for gut health. And of course, if you have SIBO, well, you might need a spore-based probiotic. These are going to work better because they bypass the small intestine and they help support the large intestine instead. So that being said, you also need prebiotics, right? Prebiotics are going to be really important too. So we're going to put the probiotics in or have the right kinds of probiotics, but then we need to be able to feed them. And that's where the prebiotics come into. These are feeding those good guys. We can get these from sources like garlic, onions, asparagus, flax seeds, apples, things that are going to be high fiber fruits and vegetables. One of the things to note here, though, is, if you're dealing with some really horrible chronic gut issues, pain, gas, bloating, and you have problems eating these foods, you're probably not ready for this step yet. You need to still go through step one, right? And step two before you can get into reinoculating the step three. It's going to be stepwise. You're not going to do everything at the same time. Once you can start to accept some of these foods that are going to be higher in the fiber without having, pain, that's when you're going to be ready for this reinoculation phase. You need to be able to take in these types of foods so that you can give that prebiotic fiber in your stomach. But of course, it's all, at the appropriate time. Um, the other thing that's really helpful are fermented foods. So again, if you can tolerate these, fermented foods are a really great way to get natural probiotics. So these are going to be foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, miso, even yogurt. I prefer the plant-based versions of yogurt, but if you're doing like a lactose-free Greek yogurt or something like that without a lot of sugar, that could work for you as well. These are going to provide live bacteria that help you balance your microbiome. And of course, a side note, I can't, not talk about the low FODMAP. A lot of people that are dealing with gut health get told that they should go on a low FODMAP diet. And of course, this is going to remove certain fermentables and fibers that can trigger bloating. And, I find that it can be helpful, but I find that it works best with SIBO and Candida overgrowth, not necessarily a general go-to gut healing approach. Instead, I recommend not over restricting. I recommend removing the known irritants and the common triggers while allowing some flexibility. Last but not least, we want to talk about avoiding over sanitization. And we've, post COVID, we want to just sanitize everything, right? But that's actually causing problems with our gut health. Diversity is key. Our obsession with these hand sanitizers and antibiotics and ultra clean environments has actually weakened our gut microbiomes over time. And so, what we need is a more diverse diet, right? That's going to equal a more resilient gut. And by diverse diet, it's like, don't be afraid to eat fiber rich foods. Don't be afraid, to pick a strawberry, right? And eat it without having washed it. The idea here is you want to be able to support your microbial balance. And ultimately, if our gut is working just fine, it's really good at being able to handle anything that shouldn't be in there. But ultimately, it's small steps. These are going to be what makes the biggest difference. Just by adding more prebiotics or fermented foods, this alone can start to transform your health. Now, last but not least, we have repair. This is the fourth and final step. And this is all about repairing the lining of your gut so that you can tolerate a wide range of foods again. We need to heal that so that we can go back to our normal way of normal patterns of eating, which, of course, to be able to preserve this should include lots of plant-based foods, fruits and veggies, nuts, seeds, legumes, all of that. That's going to keep our gut healthy. The first that I have on the list is L-glutamine. And L-glutamine, I've mentioned this is the third time, so probably a pretty important supplement to be on. This restores your gut lining and reduces leaky gut. One thing to note, though, you do need a relatively high dosage of this. This is why I recommend putting it in smoothies. It's a tasteless white powder. It's an amino acid. Typically, one scoop is going to be about 5 grams, and I recommend anywhere from 1 to 2 scoops for people, typically in multiple smoothies throughout the day. But within the research, we see typically 5 to 10 grams daily to be able to support the healing of the gut. Zinc carnosine is another really great one. We don't see it too often, touted in social media. People aren't super aware of this, but zinc carnosine is another one that's well supported within the literature. It supports stomach lining repair and reduces gut inflammation. Aloe vera and marshmallow root. And again, I've mentioned these earlier. This is just a repeat so that you can get very, very familiar with some of these. But these are really helpful to soothe irritation. So if you're actively experiencing pain and discomfort, these are some great things to be able to take to be able to support that as well. And of course, collagen and bone broth, two of my very favorite things. And the collagen, I like the hydrolyzed collagen. I get the really giant ones at Costco or at Sam's Club or any of those giant places. It goes in just about everything. So you can put it in your coffee, in your tea, in your smoothies, in your oatmeal. It dissolves. It's tasteless. As long as you're putting it in warm or hot liquid, it's going to be completely undetectable. Bone broth is another really important one. If you are feeling like I just can't eat anything, everything is just, not wonderful, makes my gut feel not wonderful, everything is causing pain. Bone broth could be a great way to be able to, give yourself protein and nutrients and vitamins and minerals without causing that pain or that bloat or that discomfort. These are going to basically provide amino acids, things like glycine, proline. They're going to strengthen the lining of the gut. And specifically, the bone broth is going to have a lot of the minerals that are going to support regrowth as well. And of course, you can also do anti-inflammatory foods. These are things like ginger, turmeric, omega-3s. All of these functional foods are going to be really helpful. So if you were to look at doing anti-inflammatory types of foods, and again, there's not a magic strategy with this. Almost all plant-based foods are going to be anti-inflammatory foods. Root things like, again, ginger and turmeric, they're going to be very, very supportive of anti-inflammatory properties. All right. Now let's talk about supplements because I have a lot of people asking, well, what do you recommend? Supplements or food? Which one's going to work best? The answer that I have is both. You always want to go with food first. It's the best way to be able to start a habit, right? Have it become a lifestyle where you're eating the right foods that are going to be beneficial and fueling for your gut. Whole nutrient dense foods. It's simple. It's common knowledge, right? We know that when we eat healthy fruits and veggies, we're going to be doing a lot of really good things for our health, including take care of our gut. But supplements are going to be really great as tools, especially if you have chronic gut issues. Again, things like bloating, food sensitivities. If you've been diagnosed with SIBO or yeast overgrowth, supplements are going to help speed up the healing. And sometimes, you really need those to be able to fix the dysbiosis. And so for yeast and SIBO, there are herbal blends that are going to work better than some prescription antibiotics for some people. And of course, this is generalization. And, I can share my recommendations if you go ahead and reach out. I don't want to overwhelm this presentation with recommendations for specific not medications, but supplements for specific chronic conditions. But I am offering anybody that would like it 25% off of my supplement pharmacy. So if you want high quality supplements, not having to worry about, are these good? Are they vetted? Are they high quality? Everything that's in there is going to be high quality, and you would get 25% off of whatever you decide to purchase for life. You just have to let me know. So let me definitely reach out via email. All right. The other thing that's really important is understanding the connection between stress. And the idea here is that you could be eating a perfect diet, taking the best supplements, and still struggling with issues if you're constantly stressed. And why is that? Well, your body literally has two modes: fight and flight, right? That's going to be your sympathetic nervous system. That's where your body's in survival mode, and it literally shuts down digestion so that all the energy goes into handling that threat. The second system is rest and digest, which is where your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. This is where food is prioritized, digesting, right? All the nutrients are going to get absorbed, and healing even happens, right? Our body can do one of two things. It's not able to do both well. And that's kind of how we are too, right? If we're trying to do two big tasks at the same time, chances are we're going to do a pretty crappy job with both of them, right? We can handle one thing and do it well at that time. And so many of us, imagine your day, right? If you're sitting in a stress state on the go at your desk, scrolling on your phone, right? Not digesting properly, you're in that high state of awareness, or you're alert, you're ready to go and take on whatever task is going to be at hand. This leads to more bloating, acid reflux, poor nutrient absorption, and of course leaky gut. And so stress is a huge factor when we talk about healing the gut. All right, so when was the last time that you felt truly relaxed? And we can figure this out by saying, all right, well, when's the last time I went on vacation? When's the last time I said, wow, I feel like I could just do this forever. Nothing's being asked of me. I'm just enjoying, I'm relaxing, I'm taking a break. So if you can't remember the last time that you did that, well, that could be a problem. What we could also think about is, what do you do for fun? What do you do for fun? What are those things that make you laugh uncontrollably, make you have a smile on your face and just you feel like you're a kid again? If you can't answer that, or if you know, but you haven't done it in months, years, this could be a sign that you need to prioritize some of that more, right? What we know from science is that, or just some of these epidemiological studies, is that it can take up to 2 full days before we actually feel relaxed when we go on vacation. That's how long it takes our nervous system to shift out of stress mode. And so many of us are living in this constant state of low grade stress. We're always rushing, we're multitasking, we're running on autopilot. We literally get so stressed that our stress up here becomes our baseline and it just feels normal to us. But of course, just because it feels normal in our head doesn't mean it's normal in our body. We're not giving our bodies that time to relax, and then our digestion suffers. And so the idea here that I really want to hit home is your gut can't heal if you're always in fight or flight mode. And so the goal is to actively bring your body back into rest and digest. And so I want to focus on how to do that. And of course, I know we can't avoid stress. It's unavoidable. It's just part of life. What we can do though is we can train our nervous system how to handle it better. And so this is how we're going to activate that rest digest mode. The first is we want to activate the vagus nerve. This nerve connects our gut and our brain, and this is how our gut and our brain communicate. And so when we stimulate this nerve, it's going to reduce inflammation and improve digestion. And so, how do we start to stimulate this vagus nerve or activate our vagus nerve? Well, simple things like deep breathing, taking a deep breath, singing, even gargling water, or that ujjayi yogi breath, where you're taking in a slow, deliberate, long breath, where you're almost like kind of squeezing your throat around your breath. When you start to do that, you're activating that vagus nerve. And when you're doing that, that's a sign telling your body, well, we're good. We wouldn't be doing that if we were worried about our safety. We wouldn't be sitting and doing that if there was a threat, if there was an, impending threat. And so that signals to your body that it's okay. We can relax. We can let go a little bit. And of course, you can do this before you eat. If you take some time to just take 3 quick breaths before you eat, you're going to be able to switch your body into digestion mode. You're going to be able to digest better than if you just keep going and working through your lunch or your dinner. You can also move. Movement is really, really important. Gentle movement like walking, stretching, yoga, even laughing. All of these things help lower cortisol, which of course is that stress hormone. And of course, you can't not talk about mindful eating, the idea of just slowing down, chewing your food well without any distractions. All of these are going to lead to better digestion and a happier gut. And so let's go through a really quick breathing exercise just to help you activate this rest and digest mode. I just want to show you how quick it is. And you may not have ever done this before, but trust me, take the 25 seconds that it's going to take and just follow along with me. If you'd like, you can close your eyes. You don't have to. We're just going to simply inhale. I'm going to instruct you to inhale. I'm going to count. I'm going to tell you to hold, and I'm going to tell you to exhale. And we're going to start now. Go ahead and inhale deeply through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. Inhale. 3, 4. Hold. 4. And exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. And just see if you can feel a difference. Your body should feel more relaxed. You should feel more present. But this simple technique can reduce bloating, acid reflux, it improves digestion. If you use it before meals or whenever you feel stressed, it's going to make a world of difference. All right, so we've covered a lot. So let's just take a quick moment to recap what you've learned. The first is your gut is the foundation of your health. It's the foundation of your body's entire well-being. And so if your gut is struggling, it's going to show up in ways that you may not expect, like fatigue, inflammation, brain fog. And so if we look at some of the proven strategies to heal your gut, The 4R protocol, this is the one that's most widely used, widely recognized. And of course, that just means removing triggers, replacing missing nutrients, reinoculating the good bacteria, and repairing the gut lining. By doing this systematic approach, you can dramatically improve your digestion, which will then improve your overall health. The fourth here is that stress is typically that missing piece that most people overlook. And so if you're constantly in fight or flight mode, your digestion is going to suffer. And this is something that you have to take care of. You can be eating perfectly. You can be spending all kinds of money on the right supplements and still have problems. And that's because if you're in stress mode, you literally can't digest. So begin some of these simple techniques like breath work, like mindful eating. All of these are going to be really helpful to help you shift your body into healing mode. And of course, last but not least, the most important thing to understand is that you're not stuck. Any gut issue can be made better. You have the power to take charge of your health. All of these things, you don't have to do them all right now. Pick a couple of things that are going to work for you and work towards better, step by step, getting yourself there. 3 things that you can do today. Well, identify triggers. You don't need to overhaul your whole diet overnight. Just start to pay attention to what makes you feel better or worse. And then keeping a simple food diary or a symptom journal can be really helpful with this. You want to start to rebuild your gut lining. Your gut is designed to heal, but it needs the right building blocks. And so if you can focus on whole foods, hydration, and targeting gut healing nutrients like L-glutamine, collagen, and omega-3s, that's going to make a world of difference. And of course, you want to support digestion and balance stress. Digestion is not just about food, it's about how your body processes foods. And so, again, that's where that breathing before meals, slowing down and addressing these stress reducing, these high stress environments when you're eating, you want to try to remove that from your time when you're eating food. So maybe something as simple as going for a walk, stretching, or incorporating some meditation. That's going to be really, really helpful. And so I know firsthand how frustrating these gut issues can be. And that's why I want to make it as simple and supportive as possible for you so that you're not navigating this alone. And so here's how I'm going to help you take action. The first is I have a 1 week gut healing meal plan for you. This is a full week of gut supportive meals and recipes so that you can start nourishing your gut immediately without any guesswork. I also want to give you access to practitioner grade supplements at 25% off for the lifetime that you use the platform. And so if you're going to use supplements, you know, these are high quality practitioner grade options so that you're not wasting your money on products that, are low quality or aren't going to work. And of course, you get that 25% off. I also for those people who want a little bit more structured support, I have designed a full program to walk you through the gut healing process step by step. My 90-day gut reset program it's a guided journey through this 4R protocol, and you're going to get education and support modules each week, movement and stress management. You'll also get weekly meal planning and step-by-step guidance through this healing. And it's just $45 a month for 3 months, or $135 total. But if you join with this link, you're going to be able to get a personalized supplement recommendation tailored to your body, your needs, and one-on-one support throughout the program. For those who want even deeper one-on-one personalized support, I do have a one-on-one functional nutrition package that's $399, and you just need $80 to start. But ultimately, it's a functional nutrition consultation. It's a 90-minute consult where I'm going to learn your health and history and then put together a protocol based on your specific needs, along with supplement recommendations and movement and everything else. And then you get 3 follow-ups to be able to support your journey while you make those changes. But I'm not here to sell. I'm here to help. Ultimately, some of you may just feel like you need the free meal plan, and that is totally fine. Others may feel like they want a little bit more structure or guidance or accountability. And so that's why I'm offering different levels of support so that you can choose what works best for you. All right. So thank you so much for attending. I hope you found that helpful and you feel just motivated, inspired, empowered to be able to take charge of your gut health and have some ideas as to how to get started using that 4R protocol. Again, I am Dr. Heather Bear. And you are more than welcome to ask any questions that I didn't cover. Just feel free to email me. You'll see that my email is linked to this message.